you are the program manager for nurse well-being at Jefferson Northeast in Philadelphia. Do I have that right?
You do. Thank you so much, Janelle, for inviting me to be a part of your podcast and really just allowing me the opportunity to share with others what I believe is my calling in nursing and the work that I do. Yeah, and you got it right. I am the program manager. I'm the inaugural program manager, so I'm the first of its kind for nurse well-being, and I cover the Jefferson hospitals, the Bucks campus, the Carsdale campus, and the Frankfurt campus. So three campuses that span between Bucks County and Philadelphia.
Wow. Well, first of all, congrats on finding your calling in such a broad, spectrum of nursing. A lot of nurses aren't that lucky to find their calling right now. So I found mine too. So it's really nice to just find your puzzle piece in the world. So congrats on that. And so this is a really unique role, and I've never heard of this role before, but it really speaks to my core of what nurses really need to feel supported in the current healthcare climate. So, can you talk a little bit more about what that role means?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I mentioned, the role is fairly new. I'm the first one who had the opportunity to be a part of it, so definitely feel blessed in that way for sure. The role's only been around for about 2 years now, so we're 2 years into the role, which is really exciting. And the role is really based on identification to support nursing in a very different way than we traditionally have previously, right? To your point, like you just mentioned, like just recognizing that there's such a need out there to support folks in a new and kind of dynamic way. So my role, Janelle, is really funded through a grant. It's a very generous grant that came from our board of trustees within the Legacy Jefferson Northeast. And my role was created by our CNO, Dr. Michelle Connolly, who is absolutely visionary in the nurse well-being space, and really is the reason that this role exists. So my role is to come to work every day, Janelle, and to support anybody who falls under nursing, and that can be nurses, orderlies, patient care techs, monitor techs. The list goes on. So it's anybody who falls under that nursing umbrella within our organization to really support them in a holistic space. So maybe that's emotionally, maybe it's from a mental health standpoint, which many times it is, to be honest. But it can also be from a physical, financial, spiritual need. I'm here to help. What I tell people in a very short kind of like little nutshell, because there are questions like, what is this role? I've never heard of it. Similar to what a school counselor does for students is kind of what I do for folks who are in that nursing space. Yeah, so very exciting. So I do a lot of one-on-one kind of conversations and interactions with nurses. And a lot of those interactions and conversations are surrounding some sort of event. So it could have been a workplace violence event. It could have been a medication error. It could have just been hey, I was trying to communicate with someone and it didn't go well and it left me feeling maybe a little uncomfortable. It could be I'm a new nurse, I'm new to practice, and I'm having trouble transitioning into the role, or I'm having trouble, feeling like I fit in, or I just went to night shift and I have no idea how to sleep or eat or when to talk to people. So it can really be any of those sort of ways. And I get the information on how to support people in different ways too, Janelle. So it can be through like our various on point, what we call on point. It's our structured system to report things, reporting. I have a really wonderful relationship with our nurse managers. So they will send me emails about, hey, there's an individual who seems to be struggling a little bit. Would you mind reaching out to them? Or I'm, heavily embedded in our culture. So I round very frequently. People approach me, people text me. I'm very accessible. So there's various ways for people to be able to be referred to me or to be in contact with me. That's the bread and butter, I will say, of my role here. I'm, of course, involved in tons of different things as it relates to kind of helping to create a healthy workplace and healthy environment, and what that looks like. I'm most certainly support different areas as it relates to safety and security. And I also have the opportunity to do really fun things where I've been able to develop programs and support them surrounding pet therapy for nursing, music therapy. Yes, it's so exciting. Different art therapy adjuncts, really trying to change what the landscape of nursing looks like in that area of well-being, and really trying to create structure and start it from a culture of from the moment a nurse enters into our organization, that this is the standard of what we do here in terms of having a commitment to our nurses and their overall well-being.
Absolutely fascinating. You touched on so many cool points right there. Like I was taking notes. So cool. I love how you mentioned that it's not just nurses, it's all like the support aid under nurses. I think there's such a division within the healthcare community by specific credentials, and I think it's like really dividing, and it really doesn't serve many people when we are so divided. So it's really cool that you don't stop just at a specific license, that you really are like an over encompassing support role for so many different people. So that's really cool. I like how you said that there's a reporting system for incidents. I am always a really big advocate for reporting workplace issues, because if the broader facility doesn't know that there's an issue, they can't support you. They can't help you. They have no idea what's happening when they don't have like feet in that specific role. So how can they support retention, support these horrific shifts where everyone's running around if they don't know about them? So I'm always telling nurses to report these things. So it's so cool to hear that you have like a reporting like hierarchy system in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I did when I first came into this role, Janelle, was I really tried to meet with as many nurses as I could, whether that was at the local level or our regional shared governance level, to just share with them the importance of reporting and what they can report, right? I even talked to them about reporting things like bullying and incivility. There's a space for that in our incident reporting system. Of course, workplace violence and all the other things that fall under that typical cascade of reporting systems. But to your point, I shared with them something very similar of, if you're not reporting it, we don't know that it's happening, and we can't help to support a culture change, and
Yeah.
we can't help to support that healthy work environment if we don't know. So it's really important. And our folks here in risk and in safety and in quality have done so much work around those incident reports to make them easier so that they don't take a really long time, so that it's easy for the user. So we really try to encourage that practice, that best practice, and we are a just culture. We want to know that these things are happening so we can help to support them.
Absolutely. We're such an evidence-based like system overall that how can like I said, how can we support if we don't have the evidence for that? And I've also talked to so many nurses, and frankly, they don't know even how to report. There's no system in place. They're like, well, we're night shift, and I like my manager's on like B unit, I'm on A unit. I don't even see them during the night. So I love that it's like a remote thing that they can just like put a ticket in, let the person know what happened, and then there's some sort of a resolution, which is also very comforting to the nurse that their voice is heard, that they're not just being swept under the rug because there was no management on for that shift, or that they didn't have eyes on their manager, that they have like some sort of a debriefing moment regardless of who is on that shift. So that must be like really therapeutic to them too.
Yeah, and I always tell them, when they even just start in our organization, and I talk about it, I said, if you ever hear my voice on your voicemail, please know it's never to, I'm not calling to examine an issue that happened. I'm not somebody who's involved in the investigation. I'm truly calling to check in on you to see if you are okay after an incident that happened to you at work. That is my stake, and my stake is in your well-being. I'm interested in you and how are you doing?